Paula Payton was a woman who did not tolerate nonsense. She managed Posh Allure and Organic Edibles, a small boutique and grocery nestled in the heart of a beautiful suburb. Paula ran the store with the precision of a Swiss watch and the warmth of a Karen. Her hair, which was always pulled into a tight ponytail, seemed pulled too tight. Her shoe heels clicked up and down the store aisles like a monotone marching sound, and her wardrobe consisted of mostly beige-colored clothing, with the exception of a few blouses and shoes that were white gold or black to go with her love of beige. She often stated to employees during store meetings that she didn't like or want splashes of color infiltrating the store's neutral color scheme. The store reflected her personality: strict, pristine, picky, and utterly dull. The store's lighting was cool and bland, the clothing arranged by different neutral colors, and the grocery items were even arranged by color and size. The background music was a repetitious loop of extremely dull instrumental pieces. All of the store employees were expected to adhere to a strict code of conduct, which included no chewing gum, no loud laughter, no wearing colorful clothing, only their white shirts, beige pants, beige or tan shoes or sneakers, and absolutely no loud talking. Paula ran the boutique with authority, scribbling reprimands and reorganizing shelf layouts with the fervor of an anal retentive perfectionist. Jamal was one of the cashiers who worked in the boutique, a calm, polite, laid-back young man who had a penchant for humor and positivity. He had once greeted a customer he knew with, "Hey, what's up, baby?" And overheard by Paula, he was sent to work in the rear delivery area of the store, unpacking merchandise and crushing boxes for a week. Unbeknownst to Paula, he was relieved to not have to deal with her daily. He often thought Paula was a reincarnated tyrant in a former lifetime, and would write down humorous quips about her in a small notebook he carried in his pocket to use for material on his popular podcast. Clarissa was a young stock clerk who had been chastised by Paula several times, once for wearing socks with cartoon characters on them. "This is a boutique where quiet, pleasant shopping is done," Paula sternly told her. "Cartoon socks really do not fit in here, and they attract too much attention." Clarissa really didn't like the job or Paula that much, but jobs were hard to come by, and she needed cash to buy equipment for her social media channel. The boutique store was in an old, remodeled 19th century building and was a beautiful mix of original sandblasted bricks with a pleasant colored wood trim around the roof, windows, and doors. As nice as the store looked on the outside and inside, the inside especially, and as expected, was sounding its age. The sanded and repolished old wooden floors would rarely but quietly creak, and the plumbing would groan. Very, very rarely, but sometimes. Unknown to Paula, the plumbing wasn't brought up to standards when the building had been remodeled in years past. The days went by as usual, with customers shopping, employees working, and Paula ruling over it all. One day, Sadie strolled into Posh Allure and Organic Edibles to shop for fruits and birdseed with her parrot, Captain P. She was a sprightly octogenarian with a twinkle in her eyes, and her pet parrot sat on her shoulder everywhere she went. He was her lifetime avian friend since she got him when he was a baby bird. Captain P was perched proudly on her shoulder, his feathers a blossom of colors that clashed with Paula's neutral aesthetic. Paula, while walking to her office, happened to spot them, and she marched over, her heels clicking like a countdown to doom. "No animals allowed," she spoke sharply to Sadie. In response, Sadie replied, "Then why does a sign on the front window say pets are allowed?" With this, Parrot Captain P tilted his head, blinked once at Paula, and squawked, "Pissy Paula," over and over again. Paula went silent, and her face quickly flushed red. She felt insulted and wasn't prepared for such a reply from the bird. Paula reached for the bird, but Captain P, seeing her, immediately flew up off of Sadie's shoulder and dive-bombed Paula's ponytail. Paula yelled, and while flailing her arms at the parrot, she lost her balance, bumped into and knocked over a carefully stacked pyramid of almond milk cartons. They fell to the floor, where some broke open and almond milk flowed rapidly underneath and in front of the fallen. Paula sprawled out on the floor, her beige outfit wet, one shoe lying near her face, her hair and ponytail disheveled. She truly looked a mess, and the splash zone of almond milk kept flowing on the floor like a living thing, where it eventually reached from aisle 2 to aisle 5 and pooled there, forming a big almond milk puddle. Jamal, who was walking past Clarissa, saw and heard it all and quietly chuckled while walking to his register. Once at his register, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He laughed and, with his bright, humorous personality, spoke into the PA system and announced, "Attention shoppers, today's special is cleanup in aisle 5. brought to you by Paula Ponytail, and free almond milk, if you can find an unbroken carton. In the meantime, Sadie, with Captain P once again perched on her shoulder, smiled and left the boutique. Every day the boutique had customers, some days more and some days less, but plenty of customers were quite frankly tired of manager Paula's attitude and snippy behavior. They began to phone and send email complaints to the corporate headquarters. After a while of receiving many complaints, they sent out their regional manager to visit the store posing as an incognito mystery shopper so he could see Q and hear just how Paula was treating the customers and employees, and to evaluate the store. It was Wednesday, and a dreary, cloudy day when the regional manager, aka the mystery shopper, showed up at the boutique. He opened the shiny brass door handle and entered the store, walking around casually and ready to begin checking out the store and the manager, Paula. Paula in her office immediately noticed the new customer walking around looking at items via the boutique's security cameras. She became suspicious of him as he was looking and holding items, but did not seem interested in purchasing anything, like he was a criminal casing the joint. She left her office and watched him, unaware of who he was. She approached him and spoke to him, accusing him of loitering, and told him to stop touching items and snipped at him. If you're just looking at items and not planning on buying anything, you should leave the store. He looked at Paula and decided at that moment not to reply to her rude comments. Paula then walked away from him, but was still secretly following and watching the man as much as she could. When she spotted him looking and touching organic fruits and some of the cheese varieties wrapped in their fancy packages, it was too much for the retentive Paula, and she walked over hastily to the man and began fussing at him again. She tried to grab the fresh organic pineapple he was holding, but he moved his hands back, away from her grasp. Both began fussing and yelling loudly back and forth at each other while directly above them, unnoticed, a low rumble and a small creak began. While still arguing, the rumble and creaking got louder until both could hear the sound. Paula looked up at the exact moment a pipe burst and broke a hole through the ceiling, sending a huge cascade of water sloshing down into her face and splashing all over her, the mystery shopper man, and nearby food displays like a dramatic, gushing waterfall. The man yelled in surprise and fell back, falling onto the sloshy liquid floor, and Paula, trying to maintain her balance, could not do so. In her beige shoes, she slipped on a variety of fancy wrapped cheeses and landed with a loud, watery plop that echoed through the store. At that moment, she truly and utterly wished she could immediately take vacation time, but alas, she had already done so earlier that year. Paula stood up, drenched and humiliated, her clothes and hair dripping wet. The mystery shopper was soaking wet, his hair now covering his face. As he went to stand up, he stepped on a cracked organic melon rind and fell into a big bag of organic flour. The paper flour bag exploded in his face, sending a big puff of fresh flour everywhere, settling into the water and making the floor a big sticky mess. There was water still flowing out of the ceiling pipe and onto the floor, and employees were rushing to get mops and buckets. Some were helping customers to safely leave the store, and other employees went to call for a plumber to come as soon as possible to stop the cold water still flowing from the broken ceiling pipe. Jamal had caught the action as it was happening and whipped out his phone, videoing the hysterical yet completely embarrassing and humiliating moments of Paula and the mystery shopper. He then walked to his register, and with no customers close nearby, he bent down, hiding and unable to resist, let out a long, loud laugh, then stopped, grabbed the mic for the PA and said, "It happened once, now it's happening again. Manager down on aisle 7. Manager down on aisle 7. Make sure you're wearing knee-high beige boots before going to help." Clarissa, who was watching the moment unfold, giggled and had also whipped out her phone and got some of the moments of surprise and embarrassment. Jamal and Clarissa both wanted to post the actions as soon as possible to their social media channels, but they waited. The mystery shopper sat still for a moment on the water-laden floor, pushing his flour and water-covered hair out of his face, and said to Paula, "I'm the regional manager. Let's go to the office, immediately." While they were both walking to Paula's office in their drenched clothes, the regional manager called over to Jamal. "Please come with us," he said politely to Jamal. So Jamal locked up his register and walked with both of them, wondering what was going on. Once in the office with the door closed, words were exchanged between the regional director, Paula, and Jamal. "Apparently, Ms. Paula, you've been managing this store with a heavy hand, and we've received many complaints about it," the regional manager said to Paula. Much more was spoken about her behavior, attitude, and the slew of complaints that were received about her at their corporate office. After this, a moment of complete silence fell. Paula stood there, sopping wet in humiliation, and said nothing as the regional manager smiled and handed Jamal the keys to the manager's office. On this cloudy, dreary Wednesday, it wasn't only the poorly treated customers and employees who got justice and revenge, it was also the boutique itself. The boutique had a lot of water damage from the broken ceiling pipe and was closed for a month while repairs, remodeling, and repainting were done. Jamal and Clarissa talked with each other and agreed that this was the best time for both of them to post their videos of the hilarious escapades of Paula. Jamal posted on his podcast and his social media channel a video titled Prissy Paula's Payback, featuring videos of Paula's most humiliating and embarrassing moments and reactions. His podcast had already been gaining popularity, and now with this new video of Paula and the mystery shopper, even more people began to subscribe. His videos and podcasts went viral, and his views jumped from hundreds of thousands into the millions. Jamal received a phone call from a local radio station, and with his permission, his podcast was soon added to the station, thanks to his self-comedic posts, humorous conversations and videos, self-promotion of his podcasts and video channel, and being invited to talk on Clarissa's social media platform. Clarissa had posted her video of the Captain P parrot attack on Paula. It began racking up hundreds, and then thousands of views, and she then posted more videos of Paula that featured clips of Paula berating customers, rearranging boutique displays with precision, wearing a white glove checking for dust on displays, racks, shelves, and even cash registers, and the gushing ceiling water pipe moment. After the videos were posted, her views also skyrocketed. Once the boutique was repaired and remodeled, everyone returned to work. Jamal, Clarissa, and the other employees organized a customer appreciation day on the first day of the boutique and store reopening with balloons, music, free organic beverages and juices, and dozens of colorfully frosted cupcakes. The boutique and store areas were painted in appealing, eye-catching colors. The background music selections were updated and modern. The boutique began to be flooded with many more customers, both old and new, and the place was filled with uplifting and energetic vibes from everyone who liked the new look of the place. Jamal managed the store beautifully. The customers and employees were happy, and the business prospered. Paula still worked there. Sometimes she spent days in the stockroom counting merchandise. Other days she helped at the cash registers. She no longer rudely barked orders or rearranged foods and boxes by their colors and sizes. Sometimes while working, she even smiled to herself, relieved that her strict and ignorant mindset was changing for the better. One afternoon at work, she approached Clarissa and said, "Those socks with the cartoon characters on them, where did you get them?" Clarissa smiled. "I made them." Paula nodded. "They're silly but fun," Clarissa replied. "Thanks, I can even make you a pair." And with that, the last vestige of neutral tyranny at the Posh Allure and Organic Edibles boutique faded into history. Paula began to change for the better as the months passed working there, and she indeed became a kinder, happier, and a more respectful person.